Courtroom drama. I've got some sovereign citizen cases. I got a few of them lined up, and I want to read this first. It is kind of hard to read, but I thought this was kind of hilarious that Wikipedia is putting this on YouTube. So, according to Wikipedia, what is the sovereign citizen movement, in case you don't know or haven't heard? The sovereign citizen movement is a loose group of anti government activists, conspiracy theorists, vexatious litigants, tax protesters, and financial scammers found mainly in English-speaking common law countries, the United States, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, and New Zealand. And the ones that I'm going to be playing, they're all here in the U.S. And if you're into watching court Zoom or just online courtroom drama, you might find some of these judges to be familiar, or maybe not. This might be your first time seeing them, but these sovereign citizen cases are quite entertaining, and I haven't seen any of these. I've lined them up. They appear to be entertaining, so I just figured I'd give them a shot, and we'll just see where it goes. Here we go.
What would you like?
This is from
two things.
Gavel Gazer's
I
Court
talked to Madam
Watch.
Prosecutor on this case, Judge, and
Link in the
approaching
description.
on two things: one, bond reinstatement, and PC on this case, Judge. She and I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to
I assume that's his mom.
Traveler.
I had to speak, huh? All right, hold on. Here we go. Hold on.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide.
It just had the word traveler on it. So imagine that. Dude's driving down the street. You could put yourself in the shoes of an officer or just somebody who's just driving down the road, and you see a car, probably an old car, probably a junky car. Who knows? It's probably not been washed in years. Driving down the street, has, wash me written on the back windshield for all I know, whatever. He's got a paper license plate flapping in the wind, and it just has the word traveler, and that's it. So I can see why he'd find that funny.
During the stop, the defendant refused
So the
to
judge
provide
is like,
ID or insurance.
Yeah, the judge is already like, I know where this is going. It's another sovereign citizen case. This is not this judge's first rodeo when it comes to sovereign citizens. I have seen other ones, at least ones that he's heard, as well as many other judges. They're almost always entertaining. They're seldom boring, and I'm sure this one's no different.
I do not consent to this. Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Well, that'll do it.
Okay. Tell me what.
I like these captions.
I'm sorry, Madam Prosecutor.
They don't usually
the
caption
interference
these.
with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give
client
then it
or
is
son?
an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something.
Were you
to that
there?
Effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't
And
disagree.
it's classic sovereign case where got the license
Classic
plate.
sovereign.
Think that you
can do whatever you want.
Traveling by right is what I think.
It's a free country. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer.
Oh, give me a break, dude.
It was pretty.
But he still has.
When they say out of the car, that means get out of the car. As he's about to say, he's got a duty to be compliant with the officers. I mean, when they say that you're being detained or even obviously being placed under arrest, if they were to go that far, you got to comply, dude. I mean, it's just what you got to do.
If you to come out, they can lawfully do that.
Uh-huh.
And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
Not you. Not you, sir.
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think
he probably didn't answer because he doesn't want to acknowledge what his name is, because the sovereign citizens like to play that game where they don't admit that their name is John Smith. No, instead they want to say that they're the agent of John Smith. That way they're trying to skirt the law and try to avoid being personally accountable That way they can, I don't know, offset that on some mysterious magical person that doesn't exist when, well, they do exist. It's them, but they just like to play these stupid word games.
Circumstances of what actually happened. It was not
It is entertaining,
Mr.
though.
Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know. Did you hear that?
Such bullshit. Look, police aren't always in the right, but we have seen this again and again with Sov City. It's I like that. I haven't heard that one before.
Right.
Sov
And
City.
so
Yeah, they're also known as Sov Sits. SOVCITS.
Reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity.
Or is it Soft Sids?
To respond per the
Soft Sids.
prosecutor in this situation. It wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is for now. This is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so
I agree.
You know, they ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, you know, it's really that's
common sense.
So, I mean, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond. Your bond is set at 2501, and you've continually failed to appear.
Well, that's a problem.
You know, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority.
Well, he does. He's a sovereign citizen.
How are we supposed to deal with that?
I do not consent to this court hearing.
How do we deal with that, Timberl?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration.
She's very hands-on.
A black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular client.
Oh, come on. Pulling the race card.
He's never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system.
He's a working man. What the hell does that have to do with him being black, white, Indian, Hispanic? What the hell does that matter? He's an adult. He's supposed to be a working man.
And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two,
when
they
come
in contact with police. And my mother is assistant.
Dude, everybody's familiar with the court system. You know that when you get a summons to court, you're supposed to appear. When a cop pulls you over and tells you to get out, you comply. This is just common knowledge that everybody knows, regardless of race. We all know.
So I can
what to
understand,
do.
even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know.
Yeah, such as you keep your hands on the wheel. You're polite. Yes or no, sir. You roll down the window and you obey their instructions. You don't just obstruct or leave the window up or refuse to acknowledge them being there or put license plates on your car that are made out of paper that says traveler.
Whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was
maybe I shouldn't even go there.
What you do.
Whatever. It's
I'm not
ridiculous.
saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he
We're in the 21st century, ma'am.
It is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration. Number one, from his perspective.
It ain't 1927 in the Democrat South anymore.
Just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case.
What do you mean he doesn't know?
I'm a tight attorney.
He's a grown-ass man.
I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him in getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve
maybe she is an attorney.
Let's
it's just weird. She's very handsy.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times.
Wow, he's giving him another break.
I'm not going to do it again.
I thought he was going to jail too.
I mean, when you come to court,
and this judge, he usually doesn't fuck around. He'll drop the hammer when he needs to.
Continually do it. You can't expect good things to happen. Now,
honestly, what's really saving him in this situation is that he's keeping his mouth shut. If he starts preaching all this sovereign citizen stuff, this dude, he will have it. I'm sure he's had it up to, I'm pointing to the moon. He's had it up to here with sovereign citizens, just like all the other judges out there. I'm sure that they just get so tired of hearing the same old tired argument that makes no sense, has no basis in reality.
You have a Texas driver's license.
That was right now.
You're not allowed to
Well,
drive.
then you can't drive.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today
Whether if you're
promising
traveling
you're
or
not gonna
not.
drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving,
There you go.
traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile,
or an electric vehicle,
a
whatever you want to call
motorcycle.
it. There we go.
Anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the
you
road.
might get an electric car then.
Unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care
He's
if you
gonna
have
go
to
out and
go
buy
to
a
church.
Tesla now.
I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberlake,
Nope.
I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow.
And I'll talk to her. We were
caught a
going to
big
try
break
to
there.
talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy
I mean,
today.
I think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off.
Uh-oh.
We good? I'm not asking for much, man. You know, really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you're
gonna lose.
Always,
You're always gonna
lose. It's just the way it works.
I mean, maybe
And
not
as a
ultimately, but you will
young
that
black
day.
man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong, really quick. And there's evidence
Whoa,
of that
he's going there
over,
too. Okay.
Over.
Okay.
And over. Okay. All right. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right. I guess. I mean, I don't know, man. I guess it just depends on which way you swing on your politics. But I mean, I'm not so sure that the cops are as trigger happy these days as they used to be. Plus, they have the gift of body cameras now. So the body cameras, they really debunk all kinds of shit that people claim that the cops are doing, that they're not doing. I mean, it's just proving time and time again. Not in all cases. In a lot of cases, the cops are in the wrong, and body cameras catch all that shit too. And believe me, they are very quick to put that all over the internet if that were to happen. But anyway, whatever. I'm not going to get hung up on this video. I'm going to just go to the next one. This one is from Old Squishy Gardeners Court Watch. It's a great channel. They've got a lot of good stuff over there if you want to check them out. Of course, I'll put this in the description, just like all the other ones. And let's get going with this one. Kind of a short one, too. Just a bit short of 8 minutes.
I have no idea what that means. So why don't you come up to the podium?
Another sovereign citizen. Judge shuts down embezzling sovereign idiot before coffee. Here we go.
I tried to. Nope, yeah, stand in front of.
All right, here he is.
So
There's
what
the
is your
sovereign
name?
citizen.
Brian Joseph Musgrove.
Okay, are you an attorney? What's your P number?
I'm not an attorney.
So then you can't represent Brian Musgrove. So you are a defendant, correct?
I'm an executor on that estate.
Okay, so none of that is
Wait,
valid or legal. So you have an attorney?
He's not doing nothing for me.
Okay.
Yeah, he might be playing that game where he is the defendant, but he's pretending like he's somebody else to try to, play these goofy word games. I don't know why they think this works. This never works. It just never works. And besides, if there is another person that's not him that he claims to be representing, just like the judge said, he can't represent him without being a lawyer. You've got to be a member of the bar. And
That's my question. Do you
he
have an
obviously
attorney?
isn't.
Yes or no?
I have, yeah, he was supposed to be representing me, but
So you have Michael Dagger Margosian. Okay, so he's your attorney. Okay, so go have a seat. When Mr. Dagger Margosian gets here, I'll call your case, okay?
I somehow doubt he's showing up. He's like, I'm going to be sitting here all day, I guess.
All right, so
We'll
Mr.
see.
Musgrove, you want to come up to the podium, please? This is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Brian Joseph Musgrove, file number 23-21461
In Michigan.
FH. I have Isaac Sneed.
I'm not familiar with
appearing
this
on
judge.
behalf of the people, and I have Michael Dagger Margosian appearing on behalf of Mr. Musgrove. Mr. Dagger Margosian might, oh, there he is. So.
Oh, here we go. So there is
Mr.
another
Dagger
entity here.
Margosian, this is a date and time set for pre-trial in this matter. Mr. Musgrove said that he was appearing on his own behalf. I did verify he is not an attorney. and you are still the attorney of record. So, Mr.
Well, maybe that's why, because
Dagger-Margosian,
he's
how
got
do
an
you wish to
attorney.
proceed?
Well, Your Honor, I am aware that Mr. Musgrove wants to present information to the court. I'm happy to be standby counsel if he wants to represent himself. Obviously, this court would have to go through the colloquy of that, but obviously it's Mr. Musgrove's legal right to at least ask the court.
See, that's what I was wondering, because the judge said he had no right to do that. He's not a practicing attorney, but you can still represent yourself. I mean,
so
I was confused by that.
I'm here to observe at this point.
All right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Musgrove,
All right.
when you were at the bench or up at the podium before, you said that you were appearing on behalf of yourself. So, Mr. Musgrove, are you asking to no longer have counsel represent you?
Well, what I'm understanding is that the courts is a private for-profit.
Mr. Musgrove.
Here
I
we
know where
go.
you're going.
He's immediately changing the subject. He's going straight to, I'm not beholden to the rules of this court. I don't recognize this court. This is an illegal courthouse that doesn't have jurisdiction over me, blah, blah, blah.
And none of that is valid.
Yeah, she's shutting that down
None of that is
immediately.
law.
I'm not the all caps name. The court
None of that is
deal with
valid. None of that is law. You are standing in my
This dude's like, I get paid by the hour. I don't give a shit.
Over you. So
I tried to file paperwork with the clerk's office ahead of time so that you would have time to review it, and they denied me.
I know what you're talking
yeah?
about. None of that is valid under the law of the state of Michigan or the Constitution of the United States of America.
You don't recognize that either, huh?
What do you mean? It is.
No.
The Supreme Court says it is.
What does it say it is?
The Supreme Court says that if we were at the age of 18, we were supposed to claim our minor status.
Nope, not valid.
What?
Okay.
So
Strike one.
here's what I would say to you. Mr. Dagger-Margosian is, like most of our public defenders, exceptional attorneys and very well versed in the law and very experienced.
Yeah, you might want
He
to listen
gives
to him.
legal advice. You may not like the legal advice, but it's usually good advice. I've never had anyone from the public defender's office not wholeheartedly try to represent their clients. So what you are talking about is not valid, and it is not going to get you out of this case. You're not going to be able to say all those things because it's not valid.
The next time, wear something besides a freaking hoodie, dude.
In this court case has a
You know, that's something that I've actually noticed. I gotta say this, that sometime in the last 10 years, maybe COVID is what broke everyone's brains in the courtroom, just like in just about any other aspect of life. But I've noticed in recent years, people have been down dressing like crazy showing up for court. I mean, even like criminal defendants would even dress up back in the day, like 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Everybody wore something nice. Like if you couldn't afford a suit and a tie, you would at least get a collared shirt that you'd button down and you tuck inside some slacks or something. I mean, people would just try to dress to the best of their ability as much as they can afford, at least. Now, I will say, to be fair, though, it seems from what I've seen that most women in the courtroom environment today, they still dress up. But as far as the men go, they don't really dress like blue jeans all the time, T-shirts all the time. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And judges, once upon a time, they used to not hear the case. They would tell you to go change your clothes, or maybe even some judges would even find you in contempt if you just wore like shorts and a T-shirt, or even like pants and a T-shirt. I mean, like even looking back to like the Judge Judy days, I mean, not to bring her up, but she would mention the same thing. Somebody shows up with a T-shirt, she'll just rag on them for like a good 3-4 minutes on national television, you know, telling them that they need to have some respect for a courtroom, even though it's not technically a courtroom. But still, I'm really surprised that judges just seem to overlook that these days. And frankly, it's not even really in the courtroom as much. It's not just in the courtroom these days. It's also in church too. A lot of people are really not dressing up as much for church, at least from what I've noticed. Although, I mean, I do live in Florida, so I mean, it's probably never been all that uncommon, at least in this century, for people to wear shorts to church. But anyway, I'm not going to keep on rambling on. I just think that's just interesting.
I don't have a financial interest in your case. I get paid by the state of Michigan, whether you plead, whether it gets dismissed. I don't make any money off you.
Nope. She gets paid by
We have budgets.
salary.
The court system is not a profit generating revenue. We are here to represent people so that people.
Well, I might kind of push back against that just a little bit. I mean, like as far as divorce court goes and some other aspects of court, I mean, I'm sure in most jurisdictions, especially in big cities, I'm sure courts probably generate more money than they use, than they consume on staff and materials and all that good fun stuff. I'm sure that courtrooms or courthouses in general, they probably make a fairly pretty penny.
People who are charged
Not to
with
say that
crimes
they're for
are
profit per
protected.
se,
People who are victims of crimes are protected, and that's why we have.
but I
In
bet
order
they
for
make
there
some
to be a
money.
crime, there
I mean,
has to
come on.
be a victim. There is no.
Well, there is a victim in this case
The victim
because
would be the company. And the
you are
company,
charged.
I can't face. the
Actually,
company.
Uh-oh.
just hold on. So
Let's hear the
your
victim.
crime that you are charged with,
All
which
right.
you are innocent as of this time.
Right.
Grab the right file.
Until proven guilty.
Is failure. Oh, this is let me see. This is an embezzlement charge. So you are
Right,
charged
okay.
in count one with embezzlement 50,000 or more, but less than
Woo.
100,000. That being an agent, servant, or employee of Hardwoods of Michigan Industries did convert to your own use without the consent of your employer or principal, industrial tools and equipment in the amount of $68,938.40
Greasy bastard.
or money or equipment.
That is a
And
lot
that's
of equipment.
15-year felony. So if you were found guilty by a
What?
jury, you can go to prison for up to 15 years.
And you want to represent
You're charged
yourself?
in count two with using a computer to commit a crime. To facilitate the charge in count one, that carries a maximum.
What, selling it on the
penalty
internet maybe?
Of up to 10 years in prison. And the way the statute's set up, I can actually stack those possibly.
Oh,
So you
25
potentially could
years?
be looking at up to 25 years.
Uh-oh.
So the victim that's alleged in this would be
You want to play the sovereign citizen game when you're facing up to 25 years in prison, dude? Are you fucking insane?
that business.
Right, and I can't face that accuser because that business can't get on the stand for me to ask questions. And a third party.
But their
can't stand
representative
it.
can. Yes, they can. Yes,
They
they
can.
can. Yes, they
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
So I have
Limited liability
$189,000 of
corporation
student
or
loan
whatever.
debt that was forgiven to be a lawyer. You do not. And Mr. Dagger Margosian, Mr. Isaac Sneed, all of the attorneys here went to law school to know the law, and their job is to advise you of the law.
Alrighty
Oh,
then.
Yeah,
yes, they
they're-
can.
What say you,
Yes,
sir?
you
Going
can be
by
charged.
everything, all the
can't-
laws and statutes that you guys go by
Are
are for
legal.
corporations. They're for
Still a crime. Still a crime.
But I'm not.
So what if they are, dude? They're not, but
I'm a living person.
Yep, and that's why
Doesn't
you're
change
standing
the
in front of me.
situation
If
you're
you were
in.
Dead, the case would be dismissed.
Yeah, the all.
All dude's enjoying his
That
coffee.
means nothing. That's not valid. It's
Okay.
not legal.
right.
So do you want to represent
Ah.
yourself or do you want to have an attorney to represent you?
Plan B? Go with the latter, dude.
I need some time to think.
Okay, so I'm gonna set this for another pretrial on March 20th at 8:30 in the morning. And Miss Adams, could I get a notice of hearing for Mr. Musgrove?
Alrighty then.
Judge.
All right. Well, there's that one. That was interesting. I mean, the one thing that I'm not crazy about when doing some of these is that we don't really have any context leading up to the situation. We only have what we have in the moment. So, I mean, despite the fact that this was posted a year ago, I mean, I might be able to get to the bottom of what happened with this hearing. I mean, maybe I'll write that down. I might take a note and see if I can possibly do that. Because I don't believe on this channel that they follow up, at least not in the description. Yeah, I'm not seeing any follow-ups or anything, but yeah, I would be curious to see what ended up happening with this and if the follow-up is even on here. But yeah, I'll see if I can take that down because I believe they did say his name, so I should have enough to go on. And if I'm not mistaken, they did say Michigan. So I'll see if I can. No guarantees because I might not come up with anything, but I would like to see if this dude would ended up being found guilty for the 65 grand he embezzled and also how much time he ended up getting. I mean, facing up to 25 years. I'm sure he didn't get 25 years, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he was found guilty, even though it was a year ago. I know in some instances they might have done a continuance after continuance. Maybe it's not been resolved yet. So that could also be why if I look for something, look for this case, I might not be able to find it, but I think it's worth checking out. I think it's worth, taking a little bit of time to try to see if I can figure that out. But anyway, so this is the next one. Again, the disclaimer, Sovereign Citizen. This is on Sovereign Citizen Chronicles. So this channel appears to follow the Sovereign Citizen movement specifically. So, and let's see, judge clash with Sovereign Citizen in thrilling courtroom showdown. This sounds spicy. Let's give this a go.
I believe
So
my
Mr.
office had been matter before.
Yeah, Mr.
but-
Valentine, you had an attorney.
I don't know her
appointed,
either.
And then you didn't come back the
I've
way
seen that
we
one either.
needed to come back way back in March. So.
By the way, let's see, when was this? 6 months ago. All right, 6 months ago. Not that long
You got
ago.
an attorney sitting there, an experienced criminal defense attorney.
This would be him, I'm assuming.
Might help you. Would you like to take the advantage of having Thurston County Public Defense represent you again?
No, ma'am,
No?
Can you tell me why?
because I would like to proceed sui juris, because I believe I have my best
Why that was
interests,
there.
and I don't think anyone else in this court has my best interest for.
Okay. All right, well, first, there are a couple of
All right.
warrants. I'm going to turn to the prosecuting attorney, Mr. Abid, first, and see what their recommendation is on this warrant return, and then I'll turn to you. So I'll just allow you to represent
You
yourself
got a
today as you want to. Mr. Abid?
Your Honor, the state would object to releasing Mr. Valentine, and the alternative, the state asks that the court set substantial bail on both of these matters. The first one ending in the cause number 693 is a case, is an old case. Mr. Valentine, I'm seeing, has substantial failure to appear history.
That's wonderful.
This is here's sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Valentine was on warrant status for a significant period of time. In March, the court issued a $15,000 warrant on each case. The court, Your Honor, or the state, Your Honor, asks that the court impose bail in the same amount as the warrants.
And this is first DUI from November of 2021,
Okay,
and then the
DUI.
second allegation, January of 2024.
Correct.
And
Oh
for
man, back to
these,
back.
one, it appears was an allegation of a breast sample of 0.14, and the other from 2024. Do you know the allegation?
My notes show that 2024 allegation was included a refusal.
Okay.
Oh, so we refused to
All right. So
breathalyze.
Mr. Valentine,
Damn.
what the state's
Back-to-back
asking you to
DUIs.
do is have you post
Ever heard of Uber,
about 30,000
asshole?
cash or a bond bail, and consider those same restrictions that were on you before, that you show up at pretrial services, that you stay clean and sober, you stay law abiding, you give UAs, you be on a device that's attached to your person to make sure you're not consuming alcohol. What do you have to say?
What say you?
I object to that, Your Honor. I did
I'm a
make
sovereign
my best
citizen.
effort to show up at court, even when I didn't show up.
I don't recognize
because I was
you.
confused about the dates. The clerk told me the wrong date. I showed
Oh,
up,
come on,
I
they don't make
gave
mistakes.
The clerk a letter. I wrote a letter to the court, and I also wrote counterclaims and responses to the state attorney general's office, and I got no response.
They would have that in
either.
the notes.
I went to try to squash the warrant. They told me that they wouldn't squash the warrant.
You okay down there, lady?
Or they wanted to get me to
I
pay
think she
more
realizes
bond.
she's
I
on
have
camera.
Absolutely no problem.
Damn,
showing
they got her
up
cuffed in there.
and representing myself. As far as
What's the point in cuffing her when she could just walk out?
what was the next thing? As far as these charges that are against me, I wanted to be clear that I am not a person. I'm not a legal entity. I'm a living man, and I want to enforce my constitutional rights.
Yeah, we know you're not dead.
I have the right to drive without a license. I don't need a license. The Supreme Court has proven
This ought
that
to be
many
good.
times.
So this is
ought
an
to be good.
argument that many sovereign citizens make.
The host of the
that they
channel?
was traveling, they wasn't driving, and they do
Yeah.
have the right to travel or the right to drive, so to speak. And
No, they
this
don't.
guy is mentioned in Supreme Court,
Which we all know.
So I ended up looking it up, and I can't find anywhere where the Supreme Court said that in any state that you can drive without a license. So I just don't know where sovereign citizens are
No,
getting this
there is no
information
state.
from. I don't know if somebody's telling them this, and
Yeah,
they're
they
not
are.
doing the fact checking it themselves, Or what?
No, this whole sovereign citizen movement, they've got documents, they have PDFs, they've got stuff online that they can download and they share it with each other and they convince each other that this is all legitimate, it's all on the up and up when it's absolutely not. And often a sovereign citizen will get pulled over, and I'll see if I can try to find a couple of those. I actually think that I did a video of a sovereign citizen, but yeah, actually, I think they even had paperwork with them. Often they'll have like a binder with all this pre-typed up paperwork, and they turn to page 1 and they read all the contents of the first page, instructing the officer they can do this, they can't do that, basically dictating the traffic stop on behalf of the cop. And then they'll go to page 2, and this is why I can't do this and that. Now, some cops, they've got the patience. They'll sit there and they'll listen to all of it. And I mean, it all goes the same way. They usually end up getting arrested regardless. But I mean, that happens. And yeah, I mean, this whole movement, it's very loosely organized, as it was said in Wikipedia, but I mean, they do that. Like there's forums, there's websites, there's different places they can go to where they can share information with each other, probably including information that has worked for them in the past, which I'm sure that webpage is still blank because this never seems to work for anybody. But anyway, I'll continue.
Or if they have some other type of resource that they're using, I cannot find any information that says that you have the right to drive a vehicle, a car, without a license in the United States. In no states at all. Every state has a law.
It's the word games. They don't really say car necessarily. They'll say like mode of transportation. Like they try to. I don't know if they try to get back to like the horse and buggy era, and maybe they're just trying, like they don't say motor vehicle. I don't even think they say vehicle. They just play with words. That's what they do. They just it never works, but I mean they usually
have to have license, registration, and insurance to drive.
Yeah, they usually try to justify not having a license, but it never goes well. Of course.
Rule Nisi. If the prosecutor has a valid contract between us, I would like him to produce it. If not, I do not wish to contract with any members of this court.
Mr. Valentine, I'm going to hold you on 15,000 cash or bond bail on each of these independently. So you'd have to post bond to be released, as I find that you're a risk to reoffend and a risk to commit,
and if you do, that money is ours.
Vehicular assault or homicide, given the history.
No shit.
While under the influence, so you're a danger to the community, is what I'm finding. And
DUI.
You don't come back.
Look who's back.
Ready to come back, and you don't comply with court orders. So, 15,000 cash or bond has to be posted on each one of these separately, and then
she just looks like a basket of fun down there.
Into pretrial services within 48 hours of release.
She did get in there.
And have a scram device attached. Stay clean and sober. Stay law abiding. In order to stay out of custody. No alcohol, no marijuana, no non-prescribed drugs, no bars or
random
taverns.
tests.
And don't drive unless you have a good license and proof of insurance.
Probably got to notify the court if you do.
I'm going to set another court date. We would do this.
What jurisdiction is this court operating under, Your Honor?
Uh-oh, here we go.
So they're trying you under the same jurisdiction that has you locked up.
Let's go.
At the moment.
Thurston County District Court here in the state of Washington.
Well, what jurisdiction are you trialing me under?
She just said, dummy.
What jurisdiction? Thurston County District Court.
Yeah.
Thurston County, state of Washington.
County.
That's not. Is this under a common law jurisdiction?
I'll have you research all that yourself, sir. I'm not going to argue with you. I have jurisdiction over you and over this matter.
So is this court operating common law, ma'am?
I'm talking to my clerk. 1 second. Yeah.
Maybe the clerk's going to want to engage in this.
That he's proceeding pro se and that we need to.
She's got that look like, I told you not to go there.
All right. You're proceeding without an attorney.
What?
Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, ma'am? Supreme law of the
I
land?
Sure did. I take it every time I get reelected, and I take it very seriously. Very seriously.
Yeah, did you not realize that, dude? The people put her there.
No, it's just free trial, and then we'll get it set for confirmation and jury dates.
Are you honoring that oath today, ma'am?
I sure am. And I do it every day.
So you think I'm a person?
I sure do.
So you think I can be bought and sold and regulated?
What?
You think I'm a persona, that I live in the likeness of another?
I think you're a human being and you're covered by the laws of the state of Washington.
Yep.
A human being and a person are two different things.
No, I'm not interested in semantics. So
Yep.
I'm trying to get down to
you
the
can
facts,
you can
You're an
define
American
things the
citizen,
way you
dude.
want, but the law is not agreeing with you. All right, we're gonna be back on September 20th, 1:30. We'll probably talk some more about your decision to represent yourself,
Of
and that's
course.
fine. But don't be surprised if whichever judge is there has
We might
another
get that.
discussion with you about that. And
Can
at
we
any
change it?
time, anytime you can ask the court to appoint an attorney. Anytime you can hire an attorney to represent you too. You're not prevented from that.
Everyone, an attorney.
All right. Well, that should be
So
fun.
we'll be back on September 20th, and you need to be back in court. If you're still in custody, we'll hear you in custody.
Can we
And
change
if
the
you
venue?
do post bond, you have an obligation to get into pretrial services within 48 hours and comply with them for sobriety monitoring.
Yeah, that's not happening.
And that substance use monitoring program will pay for the Scram device.
Can we change the
Ooh,
venue
I
now
get
for
Scram
lack of
device too.
jurisdiction?
Well, you'll have to file all your motions in writing, and then you serve them as well on the prosecuting attorney, and then we'll set motion hearings.
I don't have the resources to do that in custody, man.
Well, it sounds like a personal problem.
You do.
I don't. There's not much paper here. There's no computers I can use, no printers.
All right. We'll take it up at the Bureau of
And I need
Corrections.
any post stamps
Offering
on
you
my-
Thurston County
Nothing she can
Public
do.
Defense's
You're
assistance.
under their jurisdiction, too.
I could
Deny the right to defend myself. You want me to hire someone else to do it?
I wonder if
I'm
she
a
can hear
samurai
this.
I'm
boss.
not denying that.
She probably
and
can.
I'm not gonna argue with you, sir. So, at any time, we can talk about standby counsel
ever
and
want
talk
an attorney.
about counsel.
Everyone represented. I will continue to proceed sui juris.
All right, that's up to
what?
you.
Okay. All right.
I'm doing that. All right, so we're done today.
fun with that.
Those orders will be given to you in the jail.
All right, I don't consent to any of those orders.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so that's the
yeah,
end of that
whatever.
proceeding. Now Mr. Valentine is going in front of Judge Brett Buckley. Same thing, Thurston County, Washington State. All right, so let's get to the second proceeding.
All right.
And
Let's
folks,
go.
I'm guessing you're all here. for
Okay,
the
I
same
have seen this
case,
judge before.
Since you're all sitting shoulder to shoulder.
I've never seen him get pissed off, though.
What case are you here for?
Another basket of fun up there. Not sure who she is.
And
Him, too. He looks like he knows how to have a good time.
Ms. Moore, is Mr. Valentine?
What are you in here
is that
for? For
Mr.
having too much
Valentine with
fun,
you
Your
by
Honor?
chance?
Yes, it is.
This is Mr. Valentine,
Okay.
Your Honor, wishes to proceed without counsel.
Okay.
First of all,
Yeah,
I would
hold
like
on,
to-
hold on. I'll let you know when I need to hear from
Pump
you.
the brakes.
okay.
So Ms. Moore, has your office appointed somebody to replace Mr. Gaslin?
Your Honor, we were not appointed at the last hearing, and I'm not asking for appointment today as Mr. Valentine is declining representation.
Yep, wants to represent himself
I have
Okay.
advised
as the
him.
agent or whoever.
Okay,
He wants
I'll take care of it. Thank you. Mr. Valentine, as Ms. Moore has indicated, you've told her you want to represent yourself. I'll tell you, that's a huge mistake. I will treat you like you graduated from law school. I'm going to guess that
Well, yeah,
because
you have to.
you're sitting there next to Ms. Moore, you have not graduated from law school, but you will be treated as if you had, which means I will expect you to know everything that I expect every lawyer to know. I will expect you to do the things that I expect every lawyer to do. I will expect you not to do any of the things that a lawyer is expected not to do. All that means that you haven't been trained in those areas, and yet I'm going to hold you to those standards. You would be making a bad mistake.
I mean, basically, yes, more or less. He will have to be held to all those standards, even though a lot of judges they'll try to give leniency as much as they can, or at least as much as their patience will allow.
Represent
yeah,
yourself, particularly
there's some instances out there. What's his name? Daryl Brooks. He represented himself in his trial where, I mean, that was just a giant fiasco in and of itself. But I mean, I'm sure they were at their wits' end with him. And yeah, like there's been other examples of of people representing themselves in like Ted Bundy, but he went to law school though. Ted Bundy did, but anyway, whatever.
Because with two cases like this, you're probably looking at potentially up to 2 years in jail. So it's really important that you have good representation. If you were there, even if you had been trained,
he doesn't recognize your 2 years.
I would say do not represent yourself. Lawyers know not to represent themselves, and there's a
what do they say? Like an attorney who represents himself has a fool for a client, something like that.
Charged with the crime, lawyers will say it's a fool who represents himself.
Yeah.
That is,
basically.
even though they're trained to do that. So I would strongly
they're
recommend
biased.
you not do that. You have the right
I'm assuming
to do
that's
it.
why
I'll
they
be
say
very
that.
clear. I think you would be making a huge mistake should you do that. Do you have any questions about
that? Now see, like he knows that he's not hearing a word that he's saying. He doesn't give a shit. But he has to get all of that on the record. I mean, they're all on the record. It all has to be put down and recorded. So that's why he's got to go through the motions.
Questions about that?
Are you attempting to intimidate me under the color of law?
Do you have any questions?
Other
than that? No, I'm not attempting. I'm trying to make it very clear to you that I think it's a big mistake.
I'm ready to proceed.
He took that as an intimidation.
All right.
First of all,
let's go.
To
rock and roll.
We the people, and I would ask that they would all stand for a moment.
No,
people
just
special
what?
Appearance.
Are we going to give the Pledge of Allegiance?
We're not doing anything like that.
To the sovereign
We're
citizen flag.
Trial. You have a confirmation hearing set for the 18th of October.
Of the United
Mr.
Free
Valentine,
Travelers Association.
Do you have anything to say about that status? Otherwise, we're just going to close the hearing and move to that date.
I'm going over judicial notices that I've submitted to the
He obviously didn't post bail.
Okay. This is not a motion hearing. This is just a procedural hearing. And we'll just close
not on
out
trial
this
yet, dude.
procedure or this proceeding and confirm that your next court date is the 18th of October. If you wish to file a motion, you're going to have to do so in the appropriate fashion and get it before the court. It's one of those things that I've told you. It was why I advise you not to proceed representing yourself.
I have filed judicial notices with the court.
Okay, thank you. We'll set a motion hearing and have consideration of those. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, folks. I don't want to hear any comments. None.
Ooh.
So 18th of October is when he's due back.
And that's set for trial confirmation, Your Honor?
It's set for trial confirmation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, that was kind of uneventful.
And Amy, if you'll make a note to.
Well, I object to that. You're not allowing me.
We'll note your objection. Thank you.
All right, that's the end of the proceedings. Both.
All right. Well, I mean that was kind of uneventful. I had a feeling as soon as I saw that judge that we weren't going to see anything that like in the way of fireworks or outbursts or yelling, screaming. You know, sometimes judges will get heated when it comes to sovereign citizens because some judges just don't have the patience for it while other ones do. And there's other judges, they're just robotic with it. They like, even though those sovereign citizens will keep interrupting and asking them for this, that, and the other, the judges, they'll just keep talking like they weren't even speaking just to get everything on the record and just move on and get it over with, because there's some judges, they're just done dealing with it. I mean, they've been dealing with it over and over again. Sure, Washington State, I'm sure it's probably one of the worst places when it comes to this sovereign citizen madness. But anyway, yeah, this was over on Sovereign Citizen Chronicles. Actually, yeah, I thought I already subscribed to him. So I will do that. You should go over there and give him a subscription as well. But that's all I have for right now. And there's a couple more, but they're a little bit long. So I'm pretty much going to cut it there since I'm getting a little over 43 minutes. So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to, or not. That's okay too. And I'll see you later.